Hi, church. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a blessed and safe Christmas. We're really looking forward to seeing some of you as we gather together for a live service on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. beginning in mid-January. And that said, we certainly know that this pandemic thing, it's not over by a long shot. Just looking at the increasing number of cases every day can be unsettling. And to that end, I want to encourage you. Our pastoral team, we are praying for you consistently and fervently. In addition to asking God for your protection, we're praying for his peace in your life and also for his love and his power as you minister to your neighbors and to those closest to you. I want to do a little something a little different with this devotional. Now, last time I shared from Philippians chapter 3, verse 17. In that verse, Paul says, "Join together in following my example, brothers and sisters." And just as you have us as a model, keep your eyes on those who live as we do. Now, with New Year's coming, I want to share a few spiritual practices that have been formative in my life. I want to say this with as much humility as I can, knowing that there are a number of you, many of you who are much further along in the Lord than I am. But I want to invite some of you to consider following my example in taking up some spiritual disciplines, maybe taking up one or two this year. Now, it probably doesn't come as a shock to you, but I start every year with a Bible reading plan. That's not to say I make it through that reading plan every year, but I start with it. It is foundational. Why? Because I want to hear God's word every day. I want his will, his thoughts, his desires to shape mine. And I don't want to just cherry pick the passages I like best. I want to be formed and informed by the entirety of God's word. We call it the canon. Now, I've found with two young kids in the house, one of them being just a terrible sleeper, my early morning quiet times don't happen with the consistency that they used to. Like having 15 minutes to 30 minutes of quiet in the morning to get into God's word isn't always available around our house. So I've made it a habit to carry around a stack of memory verses, 3x5 cards that I've written verses out on, and I take it wherever I go. It only takes a moment to pull out my cards, right, and to reflect on God's promise or God's truth written there as I seek to commit it to memory. And then while I'm in line to get into Trader Joe's or even pushing my kids around on the stroller, I can recall that passage to mind and meditate on what that means in my life. And here's another one. I think I shared before, but prayer doesn't come naturally to me in the same way that studying God's word does. Yet through this COVID season, I've found a deeper intimacy with God in prayer than I've ever had. It's come by taking walks to pray. Yeah, just going for a walk, somehow occupying my body with doing something as I just have that conversation, speaking with God has enabled longer and more meaningful sessions of prayer than just sitting on the couch with my eyes closed. It's also opened up opportunities to pray for our community that wouldn't naturally have come simply by sitting inside. Now, this last one really ties back to Paul's encouragement. Remember, keep your eyes on those who live as we do or live as he does. Now, I make it a habit of reading Christian biographies. Now, particularly, there are two pastors, Eugene Peterson and Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and I make a steady diet of their lives and their writings. Now, I'm not saying you need to read Peterson and Bonhoeffer, but we don't have to limit keeping our eyes on those we can see and interact with regularly. Through reading good books, we can surround ourselves with the lives of saints throughout the ages. And we can allow them to challenge us and inspire us to grace and godliness. I've got a couple of biographies I'm excited to read this year, and I'd love to share them if you're interested. I'd love to hear if you've got something you're planning on reading this year. I hope that you find one or two of these encouragements I've shared inspiring, and I pray that together in 2021, our witness will glorify God and point others to the salvation that's only found in his Son, Jesus. Grace and peace.